Am I wrong for refusing to give my boyfriend children because he won't marry me? My boyfriend, 33 male, and I, 31 female, have been dating for 7 years. Early on, we talked about marriage, kids, a house, the whole shebang. I like kids, and I think I'd be a good mother. I like to have children, but I wouldn't be upset if I didn't have any. I'm happy with my life as is, and I could be happy with children as well. My boyfriend has always dreamed of being a dad, and recently suggested we're in the place to start trying for some. I was a little confused by this. I told him early on, within the first year, that I would never have children with a man that I'm not married to. I feel like children are a much bigger commitment than marriage, so marriage should come first. Additionally, if a man doesn't love me and isn't committed enough to spend the rest of our lives together, I don't see why I wouldn't make the sacrifice of bearing his children. Maybe it's old-fashioned of me. I explained all of this to him once again. He was awkward and said he just doesn't want to get married. He said men get screwed over in divorces all the time, and he just doesn't think marriage is important or a smart choice. I said that's fine. We don't have to get married. I'm happy with our life as is. We just won't be buying a house together or have any children together. We can each buy our own house and live in one and rent out the other. If we aren't getting married, I don't want to really entangle our finances in any way. He blew up and said I'm punishing him for not waiting to marry him. I said I'm not. Just having children outside of marriage goes outside of my personal values. I also told him that he's super against the idea of marriage and I'm not going to marry him just for a shut up ring that he only gives me because he wants kids. I want him to actually want to marry me, and if not, that's okay. Children and marriage are off the table for us. If he wants kids now, he needs to leave and find someone who will have kids for him without expecting any stability in return. And maybe I could find someone who wants to marry me and maybe or maybe not have kids. I said all of this to him. He's been very distressed and emotionally distraught. He has a disease that has very much limited his life expectancy. He said that if he doesn't have kids ASAP, he probably shouldn't have them at all, because otherwise he wouldn't be able to see them into adulthood. Am I the a-hole? Top comment, not the a-hole. Just because he's sick doesn't mean he's entitled to change someone else's values just to give his life a sense of meaning, especially not through emotional manipulation and trying to guilt trip you into compliance. You even offered him the option to leave and have children with someone else. Yet it's clear he just wants the most convenient way to immediately satisfy his desire to have kids. Parenting responsibilities or the child's well-being don't actually seem to be his focus. Honestly, even if you were married, it doesn't sound like he'd be much of a father. And on top of that, he seems more worried about losing money in a divorce than he is about possibly not seeing his future kids grow up due to his illness. This man is clearly only thinking about himself. Honestly, I agree with top commenter, because at the end of the day, just because you're sick doesn't mean that somebody else should change their values and what they always wanted in their life goals or whatever for you. And at the end of the day, like, why are you even thinking about divorce? And having kids is a way, way bigger commitment than getting married. You can get married tomorrow and literally just get divorced the next day. It's really not that deep. Like, you can sign a prenup, there's so much things to these days that you can do that is going to protect your money and your asset and whatever it is that you have. So he literally just wants to, step on OP. Like, people are crazy. Honestly, if I was OP, I wouldn't be having kids with this man just to begin with, because clearly he doesn't want to be a father. He just wants to have children for the sake of having kids before he dies. And that's crazy, honestly. Next story. Am I wrong for basically telling my in-laws this is my house? If you don't like my rules, get out? First of all, I don't think I was wrong, which has infuriated my girlfriend. I, 25, recently moved into my house. My girlfriend, 27, and I had a little housewarming. Her family, my mother, and a few of our friends. We were eating outdoors and the kids had their own table. My girlfriend's nephew knocked over a jug of dilute. Is that what it says? I was at the table when it happened. It was clearly an accident. He was very polite and apologized. He was a little upset, but I just laughed it off. His father came over and I was shocked at how much his father gave out to him. I told him it was only an accident, etc., and he kept going. I felt really guilty for not stopping it. He ran over to the corner of the garden and started crying. His father went back to the table and said what happened, and his wife said he deserved that. He should stay there a long time or something along those lines. There was almost a snigger of some of her family. Apparently, snigger means to laugh. Anyway, I went over to the boy a couple of minutes later. I gave him a bar of chocolate. He was still crying. He said sorry again. I gave him a high five and taught him this high five I used to do as a kid. His mother came over and said, "Do you mind not talking to my son? He needs to think about what he did wrong and he needs to do that alone." I took her and her husband aside and said, "This is my house. If you want to upset your kid, don't do it here. If you don't like it, get out." I swear the reaction that followed was insane. They went back to the table saying it. My mom said, never holding back, didn't I raise a great son? He's spot on not to let bullies in his house, which erupted it even more. My girlfriend spoke to me in private and asked me to apologize to them. I said no. I stand by what I said, and this part I regret a bit. I told her I think less of her for even asking for me to apologize. A mate of mine and his son kicked ball with the boy and I. He actually gave me a hug. I don't do hugs at the end of the party and said sorry again. He hugged so tightly for a couple of seconds. I really could go on and about the drama, but in short, for her family thought I was wrong. I was getting little dicks, etc. My girlfriend's friend came up privately and said I was right to step in. My girlfriend's still pushing for me to apologize. I still don't think I did anything wrong. I didn't tell him how to parent, but told them to leave if that's how they want to parent. If I'm being completely honest, I didn't say this. I'm not sure I want a kid with a family like that. Over a spilled effing flavored water. Wow, there's so many messages. I apologize, but I can't respond to all. Some of the common answers to responses. Agreed, what must be like in private? Snagger is a word, at least in the UK. My mother is the best mother any kid could ever have. Yeah, it puts a big hole in my future with my girlfriend. I guess people were asking, like, what does snigger mean? And, like, how the parents are treating the child in private, if this is how they're acting in public, and if his mom was a good kid and stuff like that. Anyways, I don't understand people who overreact to children being children, because at the end of the day, like, kids can be annoying sometimes and frustrating to deal with. But if a child does something if they can make a mistake, like, why do you have to overly punish them? I feel like some people, and a lot of people, they just have kids for the sake of having kids, so they can just have someone to demean and degrade and to, stomp on, because that's crazy. Top comment. I'm a grown woman in my 40s with my own children. I still flinch when I spill or break a dish. No one has yelled at me or physically punished me for such things since I left home at 18. Yet it lingers. When my kids spill or break, I calmly ask if they are hurt. If they aren't, they help clean up the spill. If it's a break, I remove them from the glass danger and clean up myself. My kids have never flinched in fear over a spill. No child should, not the a-hole. I mean, how many times was I washing dishes and I accidentally broke something? Whether it's a cup that fell on the floor or, a glass that I used too much hot water on. Hell, one time I literally broke one of the thingies in the fridge when I was cleaning it. It's a glass. Those glass, I don't know how to explain it, but I broke that, and nobody has at me like this. We as grown adults make mistakes. I don't understand people who act like children should be 100% perfect, and then to punish and embarrass your child in front of everyone like that, when the person whom they spilled things at doesn't whose house they're at doesn't even mind or care. That's crazy. Next story. Am I wrong for embarrassing my mother-in-law in front of our guests after she implied I don't do real work? I, 28 female, work from home as a software developer. My mother-in-law, 58 female, has never understood or respected that. Every time she visits, she makes snide remarks like, oh, must be nice to sit in pajamas all day. Or, back in my day, we actually had to commute to work. This past weekend, we hosted a small BBQ. During dinner, someone asked what I do, and before I could answer, mother-in-law chuckled and said, oh, she watches Netflix and calls it coding. Without skipping a beat, I smiled and said, yeah, and that Netflix paid off your son's student loans and bought this house. Everyone laughed. Mother-in-law got really quiet. After they left, my husband said I was being unnecessarily mean and should have just let it slide. Am I the a-hole? I hate when old people think they can say it or do anything they want just because they're old or because they're a parent, and you're just going to let them slide. Like, clearly OP's mother-in-law is just jealous and upset that she had harder than OP. Like, I don't understand. If you don't really understand a certain job, or you don't really get it, how it works, there's really no reason for you to be bitter about it and then say that person isn't doing a real job just because you had to work 20 hours a day and take 3 train to get there. Like, please, let's not be haters.